Welcome back to the channel and the series where I am reviewing the Letters from the Dark series by Chris Powell. Today is sad because this is the last one. This is the 8th volume that I've looked at, most of which, if you've not watched any of the reviews, please go back and watch them, as 5 of them definitely instant buys for me. There was 2 that I was a little bit on the fence on, and I think it will, it will go with certain groups that are going to want a couple of them. But as general, this has been a really good series to get into and review, and it's been an absolute pleasure to read what Chris has actually put together. And are we going to end on a bang? Well, we'll see. Before I get into the book itself, as ever, we'll show you the DriveThruRPG link, and it sort of gives you the base details of the book. So you can get it through DriveThruRPG. Here we have Letters from the Dark, Volume 8, Lucky Stars. And as you can see, we've sort of got this alien, sort of grey alien, I think they're sort of classed as. It is available in PDF, or you can get the softback cover and PDF. Currently on sale at the time of recording. This is 100 pages, which is, I think, the second longest in the books. And if you are going to buy this book, please do use my affiliate link, or any books on DriveThruRPG. I did pay for the whole of the series, and it means obviously if you use my affiliate link, all I do is I use the money that I generate on the affiliate link to then go and buy more books to create more reviews. So what is in this book? This is a third-party ShadowDark expansion that has got most of the book is an adventure, which is an encounter at Kolarov Pass here. And then we've got a sort of further dungeon crawl within a spacecraft. It's a fantasy game. This is science fantasy spacecraft. We've got some new monsters, so stats for aliens, cryptids, and robots. New technology, weapons and gadgets, and treasure from outer space. And then we've got this system agnostic mini game, a text-based game that, if you're old enough to remember, it will feel very familiar if you played computer games in the 80s. Okay, so as we get over to the book, this is my channel based on role-playing reviews. I also deal with crowdfunding and obviously things like that. If you like this sort of thing, please do consider sharing and subscribing to the channel. So let's just go over and take a look at the front cover of the book. The one big, well, I say it's a big fault, it's not the biggest of faults out there, is that none of these books instantly tell you that this is a ShadowDark expansion, or it's even compatible with ShadowDark. It doesn't have the unofficial sort of rules for a ShadowDark book, black background, white writing, so you wouldn't know. It's Chris's style, so at least all the books do follow the same sort of theme, and they're all completely different colours as well. So here we have the inside cover. So it's written by Chris Powell and designed by him, and this might look familiar. So it's going to be a bit of a giveaway that this is a full sci-fi, fantasy type expansion, and we've got the rule set here. It's designed for use with ShadowDark. All of the books had this. Well, it's not quite in this. This is the sort of 80s, is it DOS text, I think it was called, or basic, I can't quite remember. And they're sort of written in a way that someone is explaining all the contents for the rest of the book, and it's done. So this is like a conversation between 2 people here. Contents of the book is all hyperlinked, and it will take you through the Games Mastery section. So this book is pretty much exclusively Games Master only. Yeah, I think so, because some of them will have player sections as well. So this is more, I think, yeah. So probably as players, you're probably not going to be involved in this video for much longer. But obviously, if you want your Games Master to run this, definitely send them this way, because the adventure is really good. And I actually like the way that Chris has put the adventure together, and even links it, which we'll come on to when we get to the adventure. So I'm trying not to be spoily until I get to the non-spoiler section. So Games Mastery section, I think, yes, this is players going out. This is also one of the first books, I think the only book with colour artwork. I don't remember, maybe wrong, seeing any colour artwork, and this is very much sort of based on that sort of 40s, 50s sort of sci-fi imagery there. So the opening of the book talks about science fantasy. So the difference between science fantasy and science fiction, obviously science fiction is a little bit more science-based, and this is more fantasy-based. So it's sort of like Star Wars, where things happen because the plot needed to, and there's no sort of science behind what's going on, if that makes sense. Hence the reason it's the sort of fantasy aspect to it. But as you'd imagine, from futuristic technology, or at least alien technology as it is in this game, we've got a lot of new items. And coming with the new items, one of the big things they'll have is this, which is power. So they will require power to feed. And power works very cleverly like torch in ShadowDark. So each power that you're going to need, so energy cell, lasts for an hour. Should sound familiar. And once it runs out, you can no longer function the weapon, armor, whatever it may be, shield, or etc. It also gives you an idea of cost and whether it's magical or non-magical as well. So it's got things like the auto aim here. So it's a glass lens with a bright green crosshair, which will allow to do an extra D4 to the weapon's attack roll. But it's got a personality because it's future, it's passive aggressive. A little tiny voice speaks and criticizes you when you miss a shot. So there's things like this, and additional armor is going to increase your AC, communication devices, and things like that in here. Okay. We've then got weapons, and because obviously futuristic or alien technology, you're going to expect weapons. Top of the list, you're going to see beam sword, because probably licensing reasons, you're not allowed to say lightsaber actually in a book. Again, you're going to need some sort of energy. They might emit a glow, so you could actually use that as a light source. They may overheat, which if they roll a 1, you're not going to use the weapon. Some of them do additional damage and shock damage, finesse weapons. And all of the weapons here will have this analog bit right at the end of the thing that I can't show without showing the whole thing. But what this basically means is if the player can use a longsword, so they have the weapon proficiency longsword, they can use beam weapons if they find one. If they're going to use a laser rifle, they must have the crossbow skill, etc. So that's all that is. It nicely sort of, makes it familiar for the players. As aliens die, aliens are going to drop loot, and we've got a random table here, D100 table of a variety of different loots, and then it will also hyperlink some of the items here. So if this one drops a laser pistol, you can hyperlink it back to the page. Well, it's only the page previously, but again, for all the other radiation suits and things like that. Speaking of radiation is going to happen, and it will happen, especially in the adventure or even in outer space and a variety of other things. And as the players fail con checks, they will take further levels of radiation from 1 all the way down to 7+. And once they get to 7+, there's a 50-50 chance that they just do die, and they may come back as a mutated ghast. As they are dying, it does say that they're exposed to radiation or corrupted magic. They may get mutations as well. But all these are cumulative, so as they go down the further stages of radiation sickness, so their con will go to -2, then their strength will go -2 and dex. So you're going to lose a lot of stats and hit points, so it's going to get worse and worse. And radiation cannot be cured traditionally by resting, magic and things. There are only a few things like a deradiator and a rad pack in the equipment that we're going to get rid of radiation. So modern magic, fantasy magic doesn't work, sadly. We've then got several pages of new aliens, and most of these aliens will be in the adventure. There are some aliens that aren't in the adventure as well, which is quite good. So we've got brain eaters and cryptids, robots. And so there's lots of different types of robots, and if it isn't enough in here, Chris has created this section here for creating your own robot. So we'll give him sort of programming whether it's going to be aggressive or loyal. You can randomly roll it if you want to, or actually go and create. So they've all got these D6 tables and different arms, so D4 for arms and lower bodies, and D4 so whether it uses jets or springs to move. I just love the idea of this robotic thing on springs with flamethrowers for arms. You could roll it. That's what might come out. That's what might come out. Good English. Okay. We are then into the adventure. So if you are a player, definitely you need to go now, because there's an awful lot of spoilers in this Flash Gordon-esque, I think that picture is there. this is a really good adventure. So hopefully the players have now gone and we're left just with Games Master or a player that wants to Game Master this. If you're anyone else, you shouldn't be here, okay? This adventure is really, really well written, because what it's designed to do is you can either run this as an out and out sci-fi or sci-fantasy, depending on what you want to call it, adventure for the players, or how it's designed is you run this in a fantasy setting that then so basically some miners have gone missing, and as we'll find out as the adventure goes on, and the reason they've gone missing is because when they were blowing up to access some of the ore in the cave, well, the mine, they stumbled across a spaceship that had landed here centuries ago. So obviously aliens had come in, they'd landed, it's crash landed, and pretty much all died. And the fantasy world and alien world are going to mix, because why shouldn't aliens exist in a fantasy realm? And it's really, really good and interesting adventure. So even the premise is a really good premise for it, but the adventure itself is designed into sort of these two quite interesting separate bits of the dungeon crawl. Okay, so you've got the initial well, there's 3 locations as well. So we've got the initial town, which is Cosmograd, I think is, with 14 different locations. And there's rumours in the town that sort of, because one of the big things you've got is this meteor here, which, well, it's the crater from a meteor impact, which, as you find out, isn't actually a meteor impact. And say some of the miners gone missing. I think it was 7 dwarf miners gone missing. So there's different things to discover and find out in the local town and the area. Then eventually they're going to head off. I'll just scroll it back from here to the mine. Again, the mine and the ship are all hyperlinked when you do use the map. So they're going to go out and obviously go and investigate, because if there's a bit in the story arc, I think, where is it? And it said, you know, how are you going to get people there? So lawful people, obviously the mayor will ask for adventurers to go and seek for the miners. Neutral people, it's famous for skiing and hunting, hence the reason they're going there. And chaotic, there are untold treasures buried there. So there's 3 different hooks to get people going. Say the mayor is offering 1,000 gold pieces for anyone that finds the fate of the missing 7 miners. So they will go off to the mine. You've got some little interactions and stuff when they get there. To get there. Once they get into the mine, you've got some random encounters going on, and so you've got 2 different pathways technically. So you've got round clockwise and anti-clockwise, which will both ways will bring you to this coloured bit here. Is actually the spaceship, the Zenith, that so it's just designed to so you can see where it fits. And as they're going through this, there'll be a little bit of, you know, like charred bodies, variety of bed rolls, some mutations and stuff that are going on. And there's this surprise laser cannon that's sticking out of the ship. So as they go around, it's still working after centuries and centuries. It is still working and will target the players. And they will just come across sort of a metal or hole in metal in one side. There's a bit where they can actually get beamed up into the ship itself, which is here, section 13 here. So if they do find themselves, so if they go round, keep going round, and then go into this crawl space, they'll just stand and then get teleported up into the ship. And they say there are 2 other entrances into the ship. So here at M14 and M12. So the start of the adventure, village encounter, all the interactions, dungeon crawl, little bit of hints and tips, and then suddenly they're in this modern spaceship. And as they go into the spaceship, do not it just say that you shouldn't, and I totally agree with this, don't let the players know that this is going to be a sci-fi led. So don't let your players know you've even bought this expansion, because it's going to be quite shocking for them to suddenly then have to go round. Technically, it's like the inside of the Enterprise. It's really good. It's such a great twist that well, sadly, I don't think I'm going to get away with it, because, well, hopefully my players are listening, and they jumped out when I told them not to watch it any further. But I really want to run this one. This one is my favourite of all the adventures. And Chris, there's probably 100 maybe ish across. Well, there can't be that many. It's probably 40 or 50, isn't it? Probably got carried away with the 100. It's like, because some of the books have got multiple adventures in, and dungeons. But this is just, it's so out there. It's really, really good. And what they've got is they've got 5 sections here of the ship, and they're going to have to interact with all 5 sections, and all 5 sections have got different bits, because to get into the main bridge to deal with the big problem, they need to go and get 5 cables, and then I'm just going forward because I've got it fresh in my mind. They need to solve this circuit panel to actually get through. Okay, so obviously it's got the solution there, but they should realize relatively quickly that they are missing 5 of, so they need A, B, C, D, and E, and they are different colored colors in here. And the map itself, so as you go through the rooms, it will tell you, so here, so for example in room 9A, this is where the red cable is. So they're going to have to go all the way to the middle to get into the control center, and then come back out and investigate the whole thing. So each of these have got different things. So like, for example, the cloning lab, which the players could have some fun in the cloning lab. Then security, which is going to give the brig, which is obviously where all the prisoners still are. The medical bay is quite a good place if they have suffered some radiation damage. We're then going to get into the computer section as well, which has got this wonderful 3D printer. Well, it's classed as a printer, but it's like a 3D printer that would just print things on there as well. Recreation that's the place with the mini game at the back, and it's also to give an idea of scale. We've got here, so 7D, which is where the 500 to 1,000 non-commissioned officers, non-officer members slept. So that's the sort of scale and size of the ship. So it is, I don't know, I'm sure Trekkie people would go, that's about the right number or not. So I'm not going to get into that, I don't know. But yeah, that's the sort of scale of the size of the ship, and it's got this virtual reality deck here as well as one of the sort of yellow cable that it needs, which is basically it's a big computer game. Then going to get into engineering with the elevators that are all broken, which they're going to have to fix via the puzzle. You might need to just help the players sort of chug along to solving that puzzle at some stage, and then we'll get into the bridge. Oh, if they lose the cables, there are rules included in there. So, if one of the players gets completely evaporated with one of the cables, it does say just put another one of them somewhere else in the ship. So don't be sort of quite stuck and rigid on them. And then you'll say the players will get into the bridge and then deal with the big bad alien, which is here, this wonderful alpha brain thing. Fully fleshed out while it all happened. I didn't want to sort of go through the sort of hundreds of years of history, what goes in the ship between the crash landing and the time that the players actually get there. So, but it is covered in there. And then we've got this text-based adventure, which is from that VR room, which for anyone that played, to say, computer games late 70s, early 80s, this is going to look quite familiar. Sort of like you read something and then you get certain options and it tells you to what section to go on. So it's almost a sort of choose your own adventure, but in a computer thing. We are going to get a 9th one, so we will come back to this series at some stage once the 9th one is out. Okay, so final thoughts. This is what I thought was ending the series of 8 on. This is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I really, really like this one. I didn't think I would, because I was like, sci-fi. And what I do like about it is the fact that I can run it as a straight sci-fi. I can use the rules as a sci-fi game. The reason I'm a little bit is because I'm not as much sci-fi as I am fantasy. I do like sci-fi and playing sci-fi games, and I like the fact that we've now got sci-fi rules for ShadowDark. So that gives the Games Master, all the players, that. But this adventure is really, really well written, because it's going to allow the players to have any fantasy game that you're still running. You can just put this into if you want to, and I would, just to give them that opportunity to go and have fun in a spaceship and discover sort of alien technology. Because the good thing is, and the worry that a games master would have is overpowering the players. You know, if you go and give them the sort of light sword, and you know, here we go, we've got, you know, full on lightsabers going around and laser blasters and laser pistols and things. Because of the battery system, and there's only a finite number of batteries in the game, that the players are really going to have to think about ammo, because this is the only spaceship that they're aware of. There isn't another one. Obviously, as a games master, you could add another one and give them stuff. So you're going to go, here you go. You know, you've got your laser pistol and you've got, set your timer. There's your hour's worth of battery. Because once that's gone, that's the only battery they've got. They're not doing it again. You know, you might give them a couple more, but see, and then from there on, it's that horrible misery that they're back from laser sword back to a standard wooden sword, back to a metal sword, or, you know, their traditional weapons. It's really good, really good. So going in, I thought this was going to be the one that I definitely wouldn't like, and I think this is one of my favourite out of all of them. I think maybe I should do a... No, I'm not. I was just suddenly thinking whether I do a sort of a recap one, but now I'm gonna have to wait for the 9th book to come out, because I missed that. I thought this was it, so I'm pretty excited that we've got a 9th one coming. So Chris, if you watch this, please reach out to me. Give me just let me know when your timeframes are. That would be really cool. As ever, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.